Hey everyone, I'm Camden and I'm one half of 406 Dream Realty out here in beautiful Bozeman, Montana. I thought I'd take a minute to just talk a little bit about myself and lift the curtain, so to say. It's important to feel comfortable with your agent when you're working on a real estate transaction, and since we've likely never met, let me introduce myself. I am a 37-year-old Sagittarius raised on the beaches of San Diego, and I made the move to Montana about 8 years ago. I've always loved the mountains. They're beautiful and enormous, and the recreation they provide is right down my alley. I snowboard, and I've been learning to ski. I ride mountain bikes and dirt bikes, and I'm an aspiring snowmobiler and maybe someday pilot. I love to hike and just truly appreciate being outside and the humbling aspect of being small in nature. I fell in love with Bozeman right away. I followed my sister out here when she was doing her master's at MSU. I moved in the dead of winter under the assumption that it would be the most challenging time and it would all be downhill from there. And aside from learning how to drive in the snow, I didn't find it nearly as challenging as I thought. I look forward to winter now. Actually, I look forward to all the seasons. I truly believe to be successful in Montana and really embrace the lifestyle out here, you need to have a reason to look forward to the seasons. Right as my knees are starting to hurt from boarding and the snow starts to melt, I get excited for dirt bike season and all the trails clearing up. And when the arm pump starts getting bad again and the bike's tired from a hot season of riding, the signs of snow start to appear and I'm excited for another season of snowboarding. Growing up in San Diego, we had the beach. And don't get me wrong, I love surfing and deep sea fishing and appreciate the ocean, but there's no seasons. There's just surfing with a wetsuit and surfing without a wetsuit. I wanted more in my life. I feel incredibly fortunate for the childhood I had, but I knew in adulthood I wanted more. Montana offered that. And I understand why locals don't appreciate outsiders moving here and changing the old school charm. I lived in San Diego when California was on everyone's radar and sat back and watched as my BMX tracks got torn down to build multi-million-dollar developments and people from all over the country moved in and destroyed any semblance of affordable housing. I really get it. But I like to look at all things from every angle, and part of me understands that if you live somewhere special and you love it, you can't expect other people to not love it as well. Those same people that destroyed my canyon forts, they 10x the value of my family home and opened a lot of doors for us. I like what Christopher McCandless said in Into the Wild. Happiness is only real when shared. My partner in all things, Melissa Mobley, and I met 5 years ago on Tinder, of all places. The two people who probably shouldn't have been on Tinder met through it. We had our first date at Lewis and Clark Caverns, which she showed up to a little late, and after doing the tour and having a tailgate picnic, I knew. Actually, I knew within the first 5 minutes, but that's just me. When I know, I know. We merged our lives, started our business together, and I became a dad to two beautiful girls. Being the only man in the house full of girls definitely has its challenges, but somehow we make it work. I was raised by a stepdad, and it was so important to him that I didn't feel any less than my half-sister, and he was an incredible role model and really dedicated himself to being the best father he could be. I'm nowhere close to the dad that he was, but he gifted me something really to work towards. I was so lucky to have someone willing to step up and show what it truly means to be a man, and I'll forever be grateful for the sacrifices he made to raise us right. I love you, Dad. I love to cook and take care of the house. We keep our house pretty clean and try to eat the same. We cook almost all of our meals and try to make them from Whole Foods whenever possible. I grew up loving Mexican food. If there's one thing Montana doesn't offer, it's decent Mexican. Before I moved out here, I told everyone my plan was to move to Bozeman and open a small hole-in-the-wall Mexican restaurant. And people thought that I had lost my mind. But I saw a need out here and knew my food would be good enough to build a successful restaurant on. Not quite there yet, but the idea is still fresh in my mind. I've been building a menu since the day I moved. And when the time is right, I do plan on shifting gears and pursuing that dream. It was out of necessity that I really started to take my cooking seriously. I wanted to recreate the amazing food from my childhood and bring it out here. Since then, the Mexican food in Bozeman has gotten better, but there's still no comparison to freshly made carne asada and corn tortillas. If you've ever received a Christmas present from me, You know I make a few varieties of my own hot sauce too, which I love to give as gifts. I just think there's something really cool about building a dish that started from a bunch of random raw ingredients and turned into something cohesive with everything working together. My cooking is really the love language I speak loudest through. When I was a teenager, my mom had given me the option for when I wanted to move out on my own, I could either learn to dance or cook. But I had to choose one, and to this day, I'm still not a great dancer. I feel like I made the right choice though. No one has ever died from not dancing. I'm a pretty passionate person. I fall hard for things, and I love to really dig in when I find something I like. I absolutely love animals. We have 2 dogs, but if I could have 200, I would. I think there's something truly special about the way dogs love and look after their owners. We can learn so much from animals, and I'm constantly looking for any lessons from my buddy. In retirement, I'd love to be able to start a shelter and save as many dogs as I can. There's a guy on TikTok who saves dogs and brings them to his property in Oregon called the Asher House, and I want to do exactly what he's doing. It destroys me to know that there are creatures out there who just want to be loved, and that's wasted or beaten out of them by terrible owners. I wish I could save them all. We really don't deserve them. There was no bigger tearjerker when I was a kid than Homeward Bound. Something about that movie really got to me. And I remember reading in 5th grade Where the Red Fern Grows and being the only person in class crying when he had to put down his dog. The guys might have made fun of me for it, but I think I scored some points with all the girls in class. I think crying shows a certain level of confidence and personal comfort, and I've never had a problem with it. My work ethic comes from my incredible mother. She was a young mom who dedicated all her energy to being a mother and inspired us to be the best people we can be in all aspects of our life. I've never known a stronger, more capable woman who willingly sacrificed her own pleasures and pursuits to put her children first. We've always had a very close relationship, and it makes sense considering our birthdays are only a couple days apart. My mom raised me to always work hard and put my best foot forward. Because of her, I don't like doing things unless I'm going to do them right. She didn't expect perfection, but she applauded the pursuit of it. I feel very lucky to have the parents I had and owe a lot of who I am to the way that they raised me. As far back as I can remember, I wanted to be a professional dirt bike racer. When I was a kid, my family's big activity together was going to the desert and camping and riding dirt bikes. My grandma and grandpa started camping out at Superstition in the Mojave Desert in the 70s, and we've used the same hand-dug fire pit ever since. Both my parents rode, and up until a few years ago, my grandma still rode as well. We always made weekend trips during the major winter holidays, with the first usually being Halloween weekend and the last typically Easter. I loved everything about it: the desert landscape, the freedom of being in the middle of nowhere, and especially waking up to the sound of motorcycles ripping by the camp in the morning. As a child, I was obsessed. I didn't get my first dirt bike until I was 10 because my parents made a deal with me that I had to pay for half, and it took me forever to save the $300 I needed to buy my clapped out 1988 Honda CR80, which promptly blew up and needed a rebuild. It's a deeply rooted passion of mine. Riding the mountains out here has been a new and exciting change. I'm what I like to call a 4th gear rider. Hold it wide open and hold on. Riding in Montana is a lot slower and more technical, and trees and cliffs create a whole new risk I'm not familiar with. Don't get me started on the rocks. I always thought I was a relatively good rider until I find myself constantly spinning the rear tire on the rocks out here and going down. Similarly, I always thought I was a decent snowboarder. I grew up riding Big Bear outside of Los Angeles, and while the snow is terrible, the park is a thing of beauty. My metric for measuring ability was how comfortable I was on rails and jumps. Little did I know, my actual riding wasn't that great. I figured it out pretty quick the first time I went to Bridger with some locals. The skiers out here are incredible, and I've been lucky that they're willing to wait for me at the bottom of the runs and push me to be a better all-around rider. I love the fact that I can be on the mountain after breakfast and back home by lunch. As much as I hate driving in the snow, the trade-off is worth it. Melissa is really the one who got me involved in real estate. She was already a licensed agent when we met, And I had had a background in low voltage electrical and some residential construction, so it made sense that we would work together in our pursuit. I got my real estate license at the same time we were working on flipping a couple properties, and things just kind of fell into place. When I was a kid, I helped our friend remodel the house my family was living in, and I thought it was so cool that one man knew how to do everything. He could take an old, outdated house and use his skills to turn it into something new and beautiful. There just seemed to be something so manly about being able to build your own house. While I'm nowhere near that point, I love working on properties and all the experience I've gained from flipping houses over the last few years. We like taking homes that have been forgotten and neglected and tearing them down to the studs and completely overhauling them and turning them back into something desirable. I really take pride in selling a home we've rehabbed to a family. I get that same satisfaction when I cook for someone. Being able to take your skill and use it to provide something someone takes value in some small way, it makes me feel like I'm contributing something to this world. When I was younger, I spent a lot of time on the receiving end of things, and it feels nice to be able to work and give a little now. If you made it this far in the video, I applaud you and appreciate you taking the time to get to know me a little bit more. I'm always available to talk, and if you need help with anything real estate, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. And if you want to go dirt bike riding or snowboarding, I'm always looking for people to ride with. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.